We'll give a minute here to see who's going to make it tonight. I know it was a little up in the air. So let me know once a couple of you guys pop in. And then we'll get started with the skunk clutch here. And I'll flip the camera around. We'll take a look at them. We'll see how they behave. I fell asleep on the couch, so I just woke up from a nap. I got some Chinese food after work today, and I ate all of it, and it absolutely killed me. I don't know who, just my friend James just texted me, but that'll have to wait. It's probably related to our baseball team. We're both Braves fans, and it's been stressful. So hopefully you guys will pop in. Let me know if you're in here, and we will get started. I think Adam and Sean both answered in the chat I have with you guys elsewhere. I just sent everything out, so I know sometimes it takes a few minutes. And then, so this clutch was, Adam's here, all right, there you go. So this clutch was originally 15 eggs. This is, of course, Tim, welcome. What's up, man? I feel like I haven't talked to you much in a while. So 15 eggs originally, 15 babies pipped. One, while it was absorbing yolk, just pretty much died. So we ended up with 14 that looked good. Just about to start feeding trials with this clutch soon. Yeah, work is work, man. I feel that. So I started feeding trial with the other clutches. Both of Electra's babies have eaten first try. 10 out of the 16 in the Atlas Callisto clutch. Forgive me, I just woke up. Impromptu nap, so now I'm all brain fogged. So 10 out of the 16 of those babies ate, and then 11 out of the 20 blood pythons ate first try. So that's pretty good. That means we've got, what, 21, 23 babies took first meals out of 20, 36, 38. So 22, right? 23 out of 38. So more than half, happy with that, especially because I started offering food so early. A lot of people don't even try and offer until 2 or 3 weeks after babies hatch, really let them build up a little bit of hunger, absorb all that yolk, whatever. In some cases, some of these babies, it was a little over a week and they ate, so that's really fantastic. Not worried about the ones that didn't at this point or anything like that. You start worrying after, 6-8 weeks or so is when you start to go, okay, we really got to get this baby eating. But until then, it's really no sweat at all. And so I see Brian in the other chat asking if we already went live. That's why the link's in there, buddy. I know he had surgery today, so he's probably about as loopy as I am right now for different reasons. I'm going to flip the camera around in just a second here. We'll start looking at some babies. I want to try to do this in about an hour for you guys. So let me, what am I doing? Look at the ceiling for a minute. Get you on the table here. I got the first 2 babies already loaded up on the table. So this clutch very much exceeded my expectations for sure. These are not the appropriate tops for these bins. Just something I grabbed. So grab some paper towels here. Hi, Brian. We were just talking smack about you, asking if we already went live in the link to the live stream. Welcome. Happy surgery. Glad to see you didn't opt for euthanasia. All right, so let's get this first little one out here. And these guys have been up and down depending on the day. This one wants to be swimming. Some of them have been really fantastic. This one has not been one of those. So this baby here, first baby to hatch, to me, this is pretty close to what I envisioned was going to be the best outcome of this clutch. This was kind of what I was expecting, really dark side swipes. So this baby is a really dark side swipe. Thank you. Not positioning himself where I want him, but whatever. floppy, floppy, floppy Borneo babies in that classic defensive position. So, you know, this baby reminds me a lot of his father in Charlie Murphy. Charlie was a little bit funkier patterned, and Charlie was just as dark on the sides, but not quite as contrasted on the top. So this baby has a much lighter top line than Dad did, which is probably coming from the skunk in this case, because it's hard to see, but there's kind of a hue to it that's not really going to pick up on the camera, but it's almost like a green glow that some of the skunk line stuff has, especially in the right lighting. If you get it out on the right day and natural lighting, they literally like glow green. It's the only way I can really describe it. It's just a different glow, like ultras will glow and some of these things, but they just have like this greenish hue to them that's just really, really bizarre. So going in, this was kind of what I envisioned. A little bit darker on the back maybe, but you know, something along these lines, just nice dark side swipes more consistently. The side swipe line always kicks out some dark stuff because there's dark stuff in the line. Let me think back here. So these animals, Charlie's father is Spot On, and Spot On's mother is a very, very dark side swipe. And so that's kind of where these dark ones pop up along the line, even several generations removed. And Ethel was the female who I produced Charlie with, and so Ethel was kind of a really dark wild type Borneo. So that whole clutch was really cool looking. So I held back Charlie Murphy from 2017, and this is his first clutch, so this is really cool. But anyways, like I said, this is kind of what I expected to hatch, and as we go through these, and as you guys have seen from some of the pictures I shared, this is not the best that we got, and the results were really, really not what I expected at all, but in a good way. I'm absolutely pleased with what we got. Let's see, this baby's going to just be a flopping jerk, I'm sure. Oh, a little bite there, huh? Yeah, you can be angry right in there. There you go. Be angry all you want. All right. Nice thing is, I don't think it's going to try to go anywhere. We'll move on to baby 2. So baby 2, right away, we're going to start seeing the differences in what went on here. And just let me know any questions you guys have or anything that I might be missing. Yes, that was number 1. We're moving on to number 2 right now. So this is number 2 right here. And already you can see much, much different. Once again, a little nervous. But this is where we begin to get into kind of unexpected results. How many clutches this year? So technically at this point, 6. And I say at this point because there is a chance that a 7th clutch is coming. And if it does come, it's going to be a Partho clutch because it's a female that I haven't paired up in several years. It's a female that I did not want to go through the rigors of breeding because I didn't feel she was in good enough condition. But I think that she has decided she is. So I'm monitoring her right now. It'll probably be, if she is going to lay, about a month from now, give or take. But she looked like she went through an ovulation. She's going through the shed cycle around when you'd expect after the ovulation. She is thick in the back. Every sign points to what I would see in a gravid female, except for the fact that she hasn't seen a male since maybe 2017. I don't remember the last time I paired her up. The last time she gave me eggs was 2016, but I may have paired her up once after that. But yeah, so if I do get a clutch out of her, it's going to be Partho. And I'm just hoping she'll be all right because I really, really don't feel like she's in condition to go through that. But anyhow, baby 2 here, really, really awesome. I really love, you've got like faded color going down the side. So through here, is like a lighter color black, and then it gets jet black going down the tail. And so one of the trademark things that we see in the skunk line stuff is really, really dark black that stays with the animals into adulthood. And now usually with the skunk line, it's just in little circles here and there and within the pattern of the snake somewhere. But with the side swipe, wiping the side pattern away and that picking up that skunk black was not something that I anticipated. It's not even something that I envisioned being possible. And you'll see it throughout this clutch. So it's really, really awesome. You know, this clutch absolutely blew me away. And it's funny because my plan was to keep like 1.2 of these animals back, just some of the darkest babies. And, you know, this was a clutch that I wanted a few of those dark babies to continue this project, but this was a clutch I was hoping to kind of make some money on and, you know, just keep a few select animals. And then they started hatching and coming out and it's like, hey, Mike, what's up? And it's like, well, what am I supposed to do? Because they're all so nice. So now it's like I see maybe 3 or 4 animals I could potentially part with as opposed to the beginning thinking, you know, 10, 11, 12 of these were going to be for sale. So that black going down the side there, I really, really like. Let's see if we can't maneuver this baby a little bit. This one's not as bad as the previous, but still nervous. But you can see that black going through there. Just really, really cool. And it's going to be interesting as these animals grow because, you know, where you see some of the kind of white underneath the black there, which is probably hard to see with the table, but like right here, this animal is white. A lot of times as they get older and their body starts to grow, that kind of rolls underneath and becomes part of their belly essentially, not something you see as much. So that could mean that that animal is going to have basically black sides when you look at it with that top pattern, with that kind of creamier color, with once again, that kind of greenish glow. And I think you can see a little bit back in the tail area here where there's just like a little bit of a glow to it. It's not picking up on the camera as much in person. But it's just really, really kind of cool how these snakes go. And of course, these animals are going to go through several shed cycles and change and change and change into adulthood. And with the results being so unexpected, I really don't know what that's going to yield. Now, the prediction is with skunk stuff, usually that sharp black stays sharp black, but is it going to fade? Is it going to hold? Those are going to be the questions that we're going to answer. Doubtful, Mike. I don't remember which one is your favorite, but we've only done baby 1 and this is baby 2. So we just got started, so I doubt it. Can't see shit looks brown. Shut up, Tim. Everybody in the brown with Borneos, I'll tell you. But yeah, so yeah, there's your brown right there. Brown. But this baby's a little bit more relaxed. Could probably get this baby in hand. I just don't want it to freak out too much. As I've said before, my goal is not to get them to strike. Once they've struck, you've kind of pushed them too far. But these babies have been pretty good overall, so I don't anticipate too many issues. It's hard to like feel their body language, read their body language, and look at the camera. I think you can see a little bit of that glow, maybe. Not as much as in person, but something. But very, very cool animal. That black is really, really awesome. Let me see if we can't get this one back into its happy little home here. Oops, don't fall. I can't lean as close as I want to because my face is going to hit the camera. Of course, I say camera, it's just my phone. All right, hopefully those two will stay put. Oops. Oh, that one peed a little on the table there, which is why we have our handy paper towels over here, and I've got some Clorox over here. Yeah, it was a really great idea I had. I had this roll of this white shit sitting around, and it's just perfect for this. Gives a nice background, easy to clean. This is technically my kitchen table, but I couldn't tell you the last time I ate dinner in my kitchen at my kitchen table. Just not something I really do. And actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a quick second. I'm just going to bring these two snakes back in the snake room and put them back in the rack. That way I don't have to think about it, worry about them taking off or anything. So give me 2 seconds. I'll be right back and we'll start pulling out the rest I have over here. Alright, we'll dive right into baby number 3. Just make sure I didn't miss anything while I was away. It's one of the later ones. Yes, you got plenty of time. I am still so full right now. Right, that's from the other clutch. Yeah, I'm not feeding you. Calm down. One meal in and already that's all you care about. So now baby number 2 is really cool. Baby number 3, in my opinion, is cooler. So, don't be a floppy douche. I know. Oh, you're going to be a floppy douche, aren't you? Yep, you are. Cool. Flop your way right out. There you go. There you go. Perfect. So this would be number 3. I'm going to change the angle slightly here. Man, Borneos, that's the best way you could describe Borneo babies. So the bloods will be mean, but they'll hold their ground, they'll fire at you, they'll bite. They will flop and thrash violently when you touch them, but the Borneos are just like swimmy. And they will just flop without even being touched sometimes, just in anticipation of you coming. You can see this one's very huffy and puffy. So this one's a lot like the one we just looked at, number 2, except for this one has way more severe black going up the entire side. So whereas the other one was kind of a fade from a lighter black to a deeper black, this one's pretty uniform deep black. And we'll see. Oh, yeah, I know. So this one's much darker all the way around, which hopefully you guys can see here. Let me zoom in a little. But yeah, you can see this one's just black all the way through, much deeper. If this animal maintains this look, it's going to be really incredible. And once again, I can't say it enough, the glow that just the skunk stuff has, which probably looks kind of yellowish to you on the camera. Get out of here, bug. But if you look down the back of this animal, all that kind of yellowish glow in person is more of like a green tinge. It's really wild and really cool looking. And this baby is so nervous. And the other side is really black too. So let me see if I can turn it around without sending it into a total shit fit here. I just don't want it to flop off the table is the big deal. Get it on the move. There you go. Now you can kind of see how black it is on that side. Just ridiculous looking animal and something that I don't think I ever imagined I could hatch. You know, this animal, bits and pieces of it, as you look at it, kind of reminds you of like an ocelot. You see some of the side swipe type stuff. But that deep black, I don't think that I've seen Borneos like this before, where they have such a pronounced deep black stripe all the way down their body. And I just think it's really, really cool. And I think it's a good combination with the skunk too. Hi, bud. You don't have to be nervous. Everybody here's friendly, mostly. So even these interactions right now are good for this animal and getting it to kind of learn how to interact with its environment. It's very nervous. So if we can keep this as positive as possible, that's great. If there is any negativity with this experience, because my hands are not involved, it's not necessarily going to associate that with me. It's when you pick them up and they have a negative experience where it really, really can kind of make things have a turn for the worse. Typically objects, it's a much easier to deal with. All right. Don't do it. Don't flop. Nope, nope, nope. Into your happy home you go. Oh, see, there we go. And that's what they do. They flop around in the bin after you put them back. I don't know if you guys, I don't think you could see it, but you probably heard it flopping around. So that was number 3. Now number 4 is kind of a much more classic looking skunk animal. So this is the first animal out of the 3 that does not have the side swipe present. And this animal seems to be much calmer, still nervous, but not as apt to be angry. So this animal reminds me much more of what we see in skunk animals. Still a little bit different, slightly different hue overall, almost a little bit darker up around the neck, down maybe the first third to half of its body, but more of the classic spots with the black filling in around them. That's kind of what we typically expect to see in these skunk animals. And, you know, so the side pattern's still interesting, which probably comes from the side swipe line, but not necessarily the side swipe gene. It does have that skunk funk. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So it's funny, this animal hasn't been as defensive, but it definitely has gotten increasingly nervous as it's sitting here. The very, very still posture, no tongue flicks. This is an animal that's really not sure what to think right now and feels like its best decision is to just freeze and hopefully not get noticed. So that's what this animal's trying to do. But this is not an overly defensive animal, so as long as you really don't back it into a corner, I wouldn't expect this animal to kind of lose its shit. But backing it into a corner can just be approaching it right now. It doesn't really take a lot, but definitely more of a classic skunk animal. This is an animal, one of the ones that I would possibly consider letting go because I already have a couple of classic skunk animals, and there's a couple others coming up that kind of have the classic skunk with kind of a twist. And so if I'm going to keep stuff, the stuff with a twist is probably the way to go for me. Let me see if I can get this animal to turn around. So you can see the other side here. So the other side, pretty similar. The black down by the tail is just electric black, really dark, really cool. And then, like I said, the black here where you see it's kind of bordering as opposed to that whole spot. Let's see if I can't turn this baby a little bit. So that right there where it's bordering and it's kind of faded down below, that's more of what we usually see with skunk, are like the black borders and highlights. So that's where the surprise with that side swipe stuff is, because it's so pronounced and so uniform. And that's not something that we're really used to seeing. So this clutch was very exciting. And, you know, I've been talking to Rob the entire time as these things were hatching and sending videos and different things and whatever. And he's been very excited about it as well, because obviously he's one of the only other people currently that's playing around with this stuff. Not a lot of people really got involved with it. Jason and Rob worked with it up in Maine years ago. And the mom was a 2015 that I have. Actually, both skunk line females that I have are 2015s, and we're definitely going to run the other skunk line female this year and see what we get. She's patterned kind of more like this animal, whereas mom of these animals was kind of a little bit different. Come here. I know. It's a tough life. Come on. There you go. Back you go. So number 5, kind of similar to number 4, but different. So let's grab number 5 here. Oh, I'm sorry. Man, you got a lot of water in here. You're swimming, you're swimming. Don't do it. Don't be flopping around. Come on. This is live. You got to cooperate. That's the rule. All right, let me see if I can get this animal a little closer here. So similar to that last baby, but just ever so slightly different. This one has almost more of a like leopardy type pattern, if you will, on the sides. Um, this is one of those animals which in Sideswipe sometimes we get lower expression animals or animals that are really close where they almost want to break through but they don't quite. And this is, excuse me, this is one of those animals. So once again, got that cool glow to it. They're just very different colored animals. They don't look like any other line that I've worked with. And it's subtle difference, but it's cool. And then, you add in some of this funky pattern here and that deep, deep black down by the tail and these bigger splotches here, which I always like. This is a cool looking animal. So I would rank this animal a little bit above the last one. And this one is still one I'll be on the fence with. I really like also, once again, these black spots you see here that are outside of kind of the other area of the pattern is another thing that we usually see with the skunk line stuff. So that was interesting, and I wasn't sure how that was going to work with Sideswipe, but obviously it worked really well, better than we thought. I wasn't sure if those dots were not going to be present or whatever, but it just turned everything really solid black. So the cool thing for me is going to be growing these animals up and watching every shed and watching them fire up and fire down and get them out in different lighting outside as they get some size on them and see what they're going to look like. I think they're going to be amazing looking adults. I can't see them disappointing. They've already excited me so much. But yeah, so this one is another more kind of classic skunk. Here. Of course, my hands are not in a good spot for you guys to see. Like I said, to me, it just kind of reminds me of like a leopard in a sense. I got a bug on my leg. It's that time of year, man. You open the door for 2 seconds and the bugs come in. Finally, the weather broke a little bit from being crazy hot, which just means the bugs all fucking come to life. All right, so baby number 6 is kind of staying with the theme of the last two. And it's funny because like 4 took it one place, 5 took it a little further, and 6 takes it even further. The only difference with 6 in a quote-unquote negative fashion is some of the black isn't as intense. But this animal's got that kind of leopardy type thing going on too. And I think in a cooler fashion. And I think this is an animal where you're probably seeing it the best, where you can really see that glow up by the neck there. Like I said, it looks yellow on the camera, but in person it's a green hue. I saw a comment here. You're making me excited for my Sideswipe girls for his pairing, depending on how things go. Her first boyfriend might be a male from the mocha stuff with a crazy amount of black. Yeah, and who knows how that's going to interact. That's something that's never been done before. None of that mocha or all that stuff that's floating around, sunset and what is it, lilac, all that stuff. I mean, Sideswipe hasn't really been worked with a tremendous amount. Some people have dismissed it, saying it's just super stripe. I really don't think it is. Just in the way we've seen it interact with other genes, because Jason put a lot of super stripe stuff into the skunk stuff originally, and he never got anything like this. So I really do think that something is different within those genes. They might be very similar, but something is going on when it mixes with other stuff. We're getting vastly different results. This animal just looks triggered. But I mean, the pattern in this animal is awesome. The way the sides kind of melt down into the pattern, and it's cool because it's like they're meshing, I picture like stalactites and stalagmites where like you see one coming down from the ceiling, one going to the floor, and they start to grow in together, or like a crocodile's jaws or something along those lines where it's just like, is it melting from up from the sides or is it melting down from the top? And to me, it's both. And so I think this is a really, really cool looking animal. So out of the non-Sideswipe animals, I think this one is one of my favorites. And I mean, just look at that. That pattern is so cool. And we'll see an animal later, which I've shared in pictures, that takes this to a whole nother level. and just kind of completely didn't play by any of the rules. You know, just incredible animals top to bottom. This could very well be like one of the nicest top to bottom clutches I've produced, and so was the other Borneo clutch this year. Just really fantastic animals through the whole thing. There's nothing in either of these clutches that on a normal season you wouldn't be happy to have as a holdback. And I think that's kind of cool to get to that point where basically everything you're making is holdback quality. And then we all see what happens. We end up like Minatola and we keep everything. I'm gonna out Minatola this year and keep a bunch of shit. All right, we're gonna grab number 7 now. And number 7 kind of reminds me a lot of number 1. More of that classic darker side swipe that I was kind of expecting. The heads next is yellow and personalized look on camera. Yes and no. They're more of like a green tinge than yellow. But yes, they're very, very pronounced and clearly glowing and different. So here's number 7. And like I said, number 7 reminds me a lot more of number 1. I love when they're nervous and they just kind of drop in the position you put them in, even though that cannot possibly be comfortable. So we're going to touch this baby a little bit just to kind of hopefully get it to put its body down. So I think I like this one a little bit better than number 1. I think the black is a little bit more intense and spilling further up the body before it fades. And so for me, I think out of the two, side by side, I would pick 7 over 1. You know, but much more, this is more in line with the look that I expected to get, just darker black by the tail. But the side color, like up here, that's kind of what I was shooting for. And then this down here is just, you know, unexpected greatness. But really, really cool contrast on these babies. And I love contrast, as I've told you guys probably 65 million times by now. I think contrast is just one of those things that really makes snakes. Especially because it's so hard to pick up some of their subtle colors when there's a lot of contrast. Even if you can't see the actual colors you're looking at, you can tell that they pop off of each other. And so I think that helps when you see them visually that way. I don't know if this animal's going to let us turn it around to see the other side. I think it's going to try to keep positioning itself to watch me. But we'll see what we can do. Come on. Oh, there we go. So that's the other side of that animal. I love the black up near the top there and then spilling down into that other color. And I don't know, that's the big question mark, is what's this color going to turn to when that animal gets older? If it's anything like Dad has kind of turned into, I don't know what the best description of his side color would be. Caramel's not the right description. That's not, it's darker than that. I don't want to say mocha either, especially because there's a mocha Borneo, but that might be a reasonable color description for Dad, and I think that might be where that's going to go. Come on, 7. Oh. Come on. Back. No, don't be like this. Come on. Yeah. Come on. I know. It's fucking A. I love when they do this and they just don't want to cooperate. It's not even thrashing. It's just being difficult. It's going to thrash in a minute, though. And it's hard because they flatten out so you can't get up underneath of them. Yeah, there you go. Fucking nothing like being live with uncooperative snakes. Come on, just go like an inch forward and then maybe I can quickly get you. There we go. Trying to do everything I can not to freak them out. It's weird, when they choose to flop, like it doesn't faze them. They seem to be cool with it. All right, so now we need baby number 8. Start stacking all these bins just on the table here. Put them 2 at a time out here. Got all the tops labeled so I'll know who's who. Oh yeah, this one is cool. They're all cool. But this one really takes it up a notch with the black from what we've been seeing. And this one also is going to take the flopping up a notch. There you go. So, talk about contrast. No matter what you're seeing visually here, I think contrast is a word that pops out very easily. The back of that animal is real creamy colored. The sides are very, very deep black. You know, it reminds me of if you have like a dry erase board and you go over it with a black marker and you kind of scribble a little bit in between part of it where you've kind of faded the black a little with the black, and then you really get that nice highlight down the end where you just kind of went straight and steady. That's what this animal reminds me of. So right in here is where you got kind of that smudginess and then just dark black front and back. Really cool eye stripe, cool head color. This animal's head almost looks like it wants to go orange. It's got the nice pinks already there from the beginning. Usually that starts to develop a little bit later, so this animal could really be electric looking. I don't know if anybody that's in here right now besides you is breeding snakes. Mike, I don't think, has started breeding yet. And, well, Brian, if Brian's still around and not playing Professor X, he has definitely bred some ball pythons, and I know he's had some stuff this year. Let's see the other side of this guy or girl. So it'll be 24 to 26 area. Just look at that, like, and like I said, actually I think this one you can almost see the green. I feel like you can almost see it a little bit along the animal's back there, and obviously up towards the neck. It does come out a little bit more yellow on the camera, but I think this might be the best time so far where you kind of can see the glow that that animal has back there. And going, you know, all the way down, you can see it almost like a smudge, like somebody wrote with like a faded highlighter along there. These animals are just so cool looking. And this one is definitely one that is high on my list to keep. There's a couple like this that are just really, really incredible that I really, really like. I'm playing the waiting game, trying to narrow down my collection down to a few pairs of my favorite species. It's a hard thing to do, man. The more snakes you work with, the more you want. And some days you just want them all to go away when they start to make huge messes and acting unruly, but it's just so much fun. Come on, let's not get floppy. Thank you. Like I said, these babies are not really that bad. They get nervous from time to time, but they're not mean or super defensive. They're just nervous. And that's not a bad thing. That they usually grow out of pretty well. So keeping with the tradition of this clutch, you show off an animal that's really cool, and then the next one outdoes it. This one might outdo that one. We'll see what you guys' opinion is. It's probably a tomato situation. But very, very similar animal. But I just think this one might even have better contrast. This one has more uniform black throughout. Put your side down. Come on, relax. More uniform black throughout. You don't get that like smudginess that was in the other animal. That's just pretty much clean black. I know. I'm just trying to position you here. Yeah, I thought your favorite was later in the clutch. This is only number, what are we on, number 9? I think your favorite might be later. I don't know. There's a few that look like this. But we'll see. We'll have to circle back after we're done and see if this is your favorite or not. But it would be a good choice if so. That head stamp is pretty distinct. Yeah, I don't know. Let me see if we can't do a little maneuvering. Get the classic Borneo turn and stare. What are you doing, human? To be fair, it's really hard to pick a favorite here. Oh, you're telling me, man. Every day and every day these guys are coloring up and changing. And that's why I like to take a lot of pictures. Because sometimes you see them day to day and you don't even realize how much they're changing. Like my T-positive Goldeneye female from last year, I can't tell you, like, if I didn't have her original pictures to like where she was after her first shed and second shed, I would not have recognized how stark the change was. Like, obviously I knew she was coloring up nicely, but seeing those pictures side by side was like mind blowing how much she had changed, because I just saw her every day. So it was subtle changes every day that over time became massive. So I really like to document as much as I can, because sometimes you don't realize how much they're changing. But look at that animal. I mean, that thing is, that's living art. I don't know what else you can say. You know, I really like, morphs are cool. I'm much more typically into like wild type stuff that's just naturally beautiful. But an animal like this is an exception for me without a doubt. And what's cool to me too is that with stuff like Sideswipe and all this stuff, technically speaking, you're not taking away this animal's ability to survive in the wild. Like, that might be a little bit different camouflage game, but it's still within the realm of the color scheme of the species. So you're not altering it like, you think of, I don't know, like even pied stuff. Pied stuff's a lot harder to camouflage and things like that. This animal could very well survive in the wild. And so I like morph stuff like that is still within the realm of what the animal is, and you're just kind of selectively going after certain attributes. But I can tell you this, now seeing what we've done with the black on these animals, it's going to be a goal to see how far we can take that. And I don't know how much further you can go. I'm sure you can get a little deeper, darker black and maybe a little bit different contrast and some different pattern mutations in there. But I mean, these animals, for a first pairing of these two morphs or two lines, really knocked it out of the park, in my opinion. And hopefully we'll see something the same or similar with the other skunk pairing. And if not, we go back to the drawing board and we see where we're at with this other skunk female in a few years, or these babies in a few years, or whatever. But really happy with them. And this baby's getting more and more confident just as it's sitting here. It's still a little nervous, but not bad. So if we give this baby just a little maneuver here, so you see it's thinking. What are you doing? Yeah. There you go. Look at that thing. It's just absolutely ridiculous. It's like a pinch me moment, and probably one of the best ones that I've had breeding snakes. Just the fact that this thing hatched here with a pairing that I had the idea to do, and obviously we let the people on YouTube vote for this pairing. But this was the pairing that I wanted, so it just worked out that everybody voted for the snake that was the one I wanted to do in Charlie Murphy. So I didn't have to override anything, and everybody wins. I got what I wanted, the people got what they wanted, and the results have been spectacular. So I could spend all night with that baby. It looks more yellow than I previously thought. Like I said, these animals are going to change on a daily basis right now for the next several months, really. Subtle changes, but changes nonetheless. Some you might not even notice. So we did 1, 2. I need trace. So this, I believe, should be baby number 10. And baby 10. So baby 10 has some similarities to the last one, but it's also quite different at the same time. Come on. I know. It's a tough life. You guys are so wet. It's like a pain in the ass. All right, we got to move you a little bit because you're kind of off camera here. Relax, relax. So this is number 10. Not as contrasted as the last baby. I think this one kind of melts a little smoother in. A little darker up on the top to kind of blend with the dark sides, and a little bit more of that smudginess here. I love the tail very, very much. I love the kind of broken up striping. As much as I love solid and thick, like creamy striping, I also love when it's kind of solid but broken like that. So these animals will still help you produce those solid striped animals, you know, just as strongly, but I think it's just a little bit different look and adds a little bit different dynamic to these particular animals. I love how this one's just sitting there. It is alive, I swear. Let me turn you around a little. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. See the other side there? This is when they're truly nervous. So you can see it's very, very flat down the back here. It hasn't flattened itself all the way up yet, but it's just a little too freaked out to start crawling around and exploring. It's just going to hang there and accept its fate right now and hope to gosh we don't see it, but it's not camouflaging very well into the white background. But yeah, so to me, I prefer the last two that were kind of styled like this over this one. Just my personal preference. I think the last one really, really knocked it out of the park contrast-wise, whereas this one is a little bit more muted. But the thing is, this animal in the long run could change and be the better of the two. You never really know, especially with something like this that we haven't done before. There's no basis to say, okay, here's what's going to happen. Yeah, killer would be better than killed. And hopefully they are killer animals. Hopefully when we go to feed them, they take off running. So the next baby I've shown off quite a bit, but it's probably the most wild looking. There might be some that are quote unquote nicer or whatever, but this one just kind of broke the mold on everything, and not really sure what's going on here, but I like it. And it's changing a lot too. It's starting to get a little bit more classic Borneo color to it, because it was basically black and white when it came out. And now we've got a little bit more Borneo color in there. But I still think from a pattern standpoint, this is an interesting animal because the dorsal stripe is absent in some places, and it's like the animal's pattern got confused on what color was supposed to be where and just kind of splotched it wherever. So it's not really white like it was when it hatched, but still a really cool animal, and one that I'd like to keep and see what it looks like. Yeah, well, Rob has a lot of skunk stuff, so that would make sense for sure. But any of these could be founder stock for someone else's project. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, every animal in this clutch is a holdback quality animal in any other clutch normally. But there's just so much goodness here. It's like, what do you part with? And that's the hardest part for me. Like I said, I was planning on keeping 2 or 3 of these animals and calling it a day and making a little money to try to get out of debt. And then all these hatch, and I'm like, well, damn, which ones do I get rid of? I mean, I could probably corner myself and get rid of 4, maybe 5 of these animals with some chagrin. But beyond that, I would imagine it's hard. Like, I can't get rid of this animal. This animal's fucking cool looking. And there's not a lot of stuff that looks like this animal, and we don't know how it's going to develop either. Like, especially like down at the tail end here. I mean, that just doesn't look like anything else. It's just weird. You know, that's usually you have such a melting of colors in Borneos, and there's 6 or 7 different colors, and this animal is not like that. It's got the black spots of the skunk stuff, and then everything else is just weird. So I don't know. I really want to see what this animal can do with a little bit of size and age. You know, maybe it turns out to be not a very impressive animal as it's older, but I can't imagine that being the case. I mean, look at that. Especially down in here, like there's just no, it's confused. It doesn't know if that's supposed to be the darker stripe or the creamier stripe, and it's just like here, we just splotted it and whatever happened, happened. So the only part of this animal that really looks like a normal Borneo is probably its head. That's a pretty standard skunk looking Borneo from about head to maybe there, and then it just goes off the rails in the coolest way. Feel free to send it to me. I'll keep you updated on how it develops. Yeah, hold your breath on that one. I don't see that happening. He was really cool when he hatched, but he got a little bit nervous. Right now, he looks like he'd be open to handling, though. If I can get him on the move a little. Sometimes it's all it takes is just kind of getting them on the move, letting them feel a little bit more in control. I just grabbed him a little too much. Got him a little too nervous there. He's getting a little swimmy now. It's all about feeling that body language and that tension and how much you can push and how much you can't. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble getting these guys on camera. I think I'm zoomed in too much is the problem. But yeah, I really like that animal. All right. It's like, that's enough of you. So that's number 12. 3 to go. Which pairing is that? Just the 2 you have for me, the siblings? See, I feel like, was it this one? Let me just look ahead real quick. What was that one? I feel like one of these next 2 is your favorite, Mike. And I could be wrong. So, 11. So this is number 12, the boys, plus the girlfriends. Yeah, I think it's either this one or the next one, which look kind of similar. Like I said, I thought it was a later baby. I know it's not 14. 14 I really like, but I know that's not the one you said was your favorite. But I thought it was 12 or 13. And this is number 12 here. And just got some really cool stuff going on. Similar to the one we just looked at where the tail end of the pattern kind of seems confused. But this animal just has a little bit more of the classical kind of Borneo meshing of multiple shades of color than the last animal does. But these animals still could develop a lot yet. So, you know, especially these later babies obviously hatched later as I'm showing them off in order of hatch. So there could be some things. Not this one. Okay, so it might be the next one. So I like this one, pretty cool. This one's got kind of the muted black on this side, much deeper black on the other side there. Got to use this to catch less shadow coming from the light. So I kind of like how it's the tale of 2 sides where you have the jet black side and kind of muted side. Well, in fairness, I do the same thing. Like I had favorites going in all these clutches this year, and then I'm like, oh, well, maybe it's this one now, maybe it's that one. The Blood Python clutch is the only one so far I have a definitive favorite, even though that animal absolutely hates my guts. more than any other animal in the entire clutch, which is just my life. I get one fucking golden eye, the thing that I'm shooting for. I get one out of 23 fucking eggs, one. And it's the one that hates me the most. Like, literally hates me the most. So that's life. Hopefully that animal will come around. But man, as angry as it has maintained so far and not calmed down, I don't know. Might be an uphill battle. But it's pretty enough. I'll deal with it. With the last blood clutch, no. My golden eye is awesome. At the time, she was the most high strung of that clutch, but that whole clutch was super laid back. So her being high strung, like she would have been the nicest one of these, but compared to her clutch, she was the most high strung. But by the most high strung, I think she struck at me once, and one other baby in that clutch struck at me once, and that was it. Like those babies just never were defensive, never were outright mean, nothing. No, no. I mean, I could go pick her up right now and fucking twirl her around. She doesn't give a shit. She goes outside with me, hangs out. I pose her around. She'll come over, let me rub her chin. As a baby, she was nervous though, and she did strike at me. The only time she struck at me, I think, was on a video actually, on a YouTube live. But no, she's pretty good. This one is very nervous, so we're gonna put this one back and move on to the next one. If I can get this one up off the table because it's so flat. Come here. Yeah. Oh, man. You are like stupid flat right now. Yeah, I'm pushing your buttons. I know. Don't fucking flop. Oh, this one is not going to tolerate this. All right. Great success. That one was right on the edge of saying, but I was able to get it done. Okay, so I think this is Mike's favorite. And it could have been the one you said originally. I don't know. And this one's fucking, what did you do here? This is the one that I thought was dead the other day. Like, I came in and it was laying on its side, like underneath the paper towels in the weirdest way. And then, like, I tried to maneuver it around and, like, had its head submerged underwater and it still would not move or react. And I'm like, oh my God, it's dead. And then finally, like, I literally touched it and, like, picked it up and it moved. And you can see right now, like, this animal just sits there. It's very, very nervous. It's very flattened out. But yeah, I literally thought it was dead. I'm like, oh my God. And, you know, all this stuff. Photo pulled up for comparison. Yeah, well, see if this one matches up. Because like I said, I thought, nope, not it. That's weird. I thought it was later in the clutch. It's like a cat where you can spin the cats on the floor and they just kind of take it. Same idea. So these two animals, 12 and 13, are super duper similar. Very, very similar looking animals. But yeah, so, you know, we'll see how they develop. Ideally, I'd like to get a few meals in these guys. I would love to get them all through a shed before I made a decision on any of them and just kind of see what direction they might head. But it's hard. One shed doesn't really tell you a lot. And I just don't have the space to sit on all these babies until they're a year or two old. It just wouldn't work with all the clutches that I have coming and everything like that. So you got to make a decision at some point and hope you make the right ones. More often than not, I seem to, but I have absolutely sold some babies, you know, where I was 50-50 picking between two, and I absolutely picked the wrong one. And I was just like, well, shit happens. What are you going to do? Not much you can do. Let's see. This one also might be a little difficult to get up. I don't want you to flop off the table. I don't want to go up under your tail, but it's like all you're leaving me. I can't begin to describe how difficult it is to get babies when they don't want to be cooperative. And you can't even like really pick them up with your hand either. So what we can do in this situation is really go the easy route. We just have to try to make sure they don't flop. Well, it flopped into the tub, that's perfect. Now all of a sudden it's alive and defensive. That one over there, we got one left. Baby 14. Baby 14 I like quite a bit. It's different, little different look from most of the others. You know, and I guess there's a central theme here, but just still some like individual traits. This one, from a contrast standpoint, A+ in my opinion. I think this one is probably the best visual mashup of what makes skunk skunk and what makes sideswipe sideswipe. And this is kind of a collision course of both in one animal, where you get that side pattern that's wiped, but it's got, you know, the black dots of the skunk mixed in and the whooshiness of the skunk and kind of the classic skunk hues and colors. So I think that this baby, in my mind, although I didn't visualize this in advance because I didn't expect the black to be as extreme as it is, from a pattern standpoint of the two mixed together, this is kind of where I would see the two going when they hit the same baby. But the deep black still was never ever in my mind to be something that we'd be able to get to go up and down the side of the animals like this. And that to me is my favorite part of this clutch. Yeah, I have to look at those pictures after, Mike. I saw that you sent them, but if I were to click on them right now, you guys would lose the live feed, I would think. But that is all 14 of them, and we are pretty close to my hour window. I did pretty well with sticking to that. Do you guys have any questions that you haven't gotten out yet about this clutch? But let me turn this baby around a little so you can see. On the side of its face already, cool eye stripe, and the black is just awesome on this animal. This animal grows to 4 or 5 feet and still looks anything like this. It's going to be really cool. So this one is definitely high up on my list of ones that I'm going to keep just because I want to see how that goes. And I'm just hoping that this year I don't get backed into a corner space-wise or finance-wise where I have to let go of some of the stuff that I don't want to let go of. You know, I think realistically into adulthood, I can't see myself keeping more than half this clutch. I just don't think it's feasible from a space standpoint. Especially because if you're going to work with projects like this, if I keep 7 adults and I already have existing adults, and then you take that project further, eventually you're just exponentially increasing in animals. And I know the classic hobby move is dump your adults and keep this stuff, but I don't think that's fair to these animals, especially in short tails and bloods where they're a little more intelligent. And you know, you can't say that they bond with you per se, but they absolutely get used to how you handle them and how things are done on a routine. And when that changes with older animals, it definitely causes them some stress. I've let go of a few select animals that were adult age, you know, 3, 4, 5 years old, but those were animals that didn't care who handled them or whatever, that were really, I felt like had a chance. And I felt like we're going into a better situation for the animal than here. Not from a care standpoint, but some of these animals were never going to be bred again, whatever, where they can go and breed and do things and propagate. And ultimately that is the goal of all these creatures, is to reproduce themselves. So sometimes they can get a little bit of stress from, you know, really wanting to breed and not being able to. So I just felt like in a few situations it was a good choice for the animals. But I don't make those choices based on like, oh, well, you know, F this animal, I made my money off of it, it's got to go. I don't think that's the right mentality with living things at all. You know, I can't imagine a world where I wake up one day and, you know, Voodoo Queen's not here, or Morticia's not here, or Astra, or Callisto, Orion, some of these animals, Charlie Murphy, like, you know, I just can't see my Big T positive girl. Like, even though I still have not settled on a name for her, like, I can't imagine ever giving that animal up. Sure, I could probably make nicer animals than her over the course of time, but personality, she's A plus. She's an impressive animal, and she's just so awesome. And she's settled here. She's happy here, so there's no reason to uproot her. What are you doing? Hi. You look like you want to crawl over here, but you're not quite sure. Just can't quite make up your mind. You look like you're on the fence between being defensive and being curious. See if we can't stoke that a little one way or the other and see what we get. Come on. Come on. Look at that thing. Just cool. Once again, I can't see. I got the phone in my face, and so when it goes off camera, I can't see the animal. I'm just having to feel the animal. Use that to figure out what kind of mood it's in right now. It's pretty relaxed overall. A little nervous, but not nervous to the point where I would expect it to bite right now, or flop or anything like that. Getting a little more nervous right now. Feel a little more tension just because I lost my grip for a second. But pretty nice little animal right here. One that I would expect to have a really nice personality. I don't really see this animal being defensive or problematic later on. It's pretty relaxed. All right, guys, so that's it. I don't see any more questions at this point. You're gonna fall, dude. You're gonna fall. This is where you gotta be careful. There we go. You don't want them to get too nervous and take a flop that close to the edge. The biggest key when they're nervous is holding them like you see the animal's secure and supported, but I'm also not restraining it. If the animal decides to move, it can move freely, but I don't have it in a position where, you know, if it moves too much, it's gonna fall or hurt itself. So it's kind of control without the animal knowing you're in control. And that tends to work best for them instead of grabbing them and manipulating them. No questions. Yeah, I mean, this is the part that's enjoyable. It's just taking time to get to know an animal's personality, especially at a young age when it's so developmental, and, you know, trying to decide, is this a threat or is this a positive experience? And right now this animal is very receptive. You know, nothing I'm doing is causing the animal to react adversely, even when I am manipulating the animal and picking it up. So this is an animal right now that's in a very receptive state, not scared, not feeling like it needs to be nervous, very comfortable and confident for a young animal. So this will be one that will probably develop a really cool relationship down the line once we get some time spent together and let the animal start to learn as much about me as I'm learning about it. And, you know, don't overdo it. So you don't want to have this animal out for a half an hour at this age. It's just too much for it. So we'll put it away in a second and end on a good note, and that's that. Easy peasy, you know. Just gotta be careful right now because I'm gonna have to manipulate a little bit. But like I said, it's in a very, very receptive state where, you know, I'm able to do pretty much whatever I want right now. The animal's not even in that mode where it's thinking it needs to be defensive. It's very, very comfortable. Even around its head, there's nothing making it upset right now, so that's really cool. So we'll cut this video short. We'll see you guys soon. And if you guys want, you can check out the blood python video. Should have went up at 8 o'clock, so that should be available now. And you guys can see the first 10 babies in that clutch. So we will see you guys soon. Appreciate you guys and you guys being members and being so supportive and patient with the channel. You guys are the real MVPs. So thank you very much. And me and this little one are out.